Happy 2023, fellow Laserdisc aficionados. I haven't made a video about Laserdiscs in, I think, a couple of years actually. A lot of working for full-time, overtime, so I didn't had the time for it. But now a couple of free hours and I do. I have been collecting Laserdisc steadily for since my last video. I had titles come in, sometimes I sell a couple of titles, but the collection kept steadily growing, and it's now, according to my LDDB page, at 231 individual titles, and a couple of discs that are still in the mail from Japan. I had all kinds of late releases, all kinds of box sets, and I have pretty much of all the boxes that I want now. I have the good old Star Wars box sets, the white one, the 1997 US Special Edition, the 2000 Special Edition, Beverly Hills Cop trilogy, Back to the Future, Die Hard, the Godfather trilogy, Lethal Weapon trilogy, and Lethal Weapon Director's Cut trilogy, which is also a very late release and very hard to get. I was hunting it for a couple of years actually to get it for the right price. And then the Indiana Jones trilogy, Mr. Bean TV series, Toy Story, which I bought because I just like the box set a lot. Then complete Tex Avery collection, the Mask TV series, Looney Tunes for box sets, and actually not the US ones, but the two Japanese ones, which were released around the time when Space Jam came out. The original one, not a crap re-release obviously. Then we have Men in Black, Godzilla, and as a novelty we have the X-Files first season complete on Laserdisc. I think they went up to all the way to season 8 or 9 in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. But that is so much and it's so heavy that I kept it just for one because I have all the others on DVD. And the brilliant part is one of the box sets is signed by the man himself, David Duchovny. I love it. I met him at a concert, his concert obviously, and let him sign the box set, so it's one of my prized possessions now. I have many uncommon 80s and 90s releases. All the John Hughes movies are already in my collection, and a majority of my collection currently are Japanese Laserdiscs, or should we say the ones that came from Japan, not specifically the actually Japanese language ones, because I think I have only a couple of novelties. When it comes to anime, since I'm casual when it comes to that, I like a couple of characters from my youth, and that's about it. But when it comes to box sets, which do have English dubbing on them, I have, let me see, the Ghibli box set, which is a big and heavy one. The Adventures of Little Nemo in Wonderland, if that was the full title correct. Akira, the special collection. Armitage the Third, Polymatrix. Then we have Lupin the Third. Both box sets, which of both English dub movies, which is the Mystery of Mamo and the Castle of Cagliostro. So that's most of the anime. There are a couple of loose titles in them, like a couple of Dragon Ball Z movies. Because I got just to have a couple because I like the series, but they are in Japanese. There's also a Pokemon Laserdisc in my collection, and that one isn't going anywhere because I already sold the one that I had as a double. Yeah, I had two of those. And yeah, that's when it comes to the media part. Small summary when it comes to my collection. When it comes hardware wise, in our house we already have 3 Laserdiscs. I actually gifted one of the Laserdiscs to my little brother because he started to get into a format and he grabs a movie now and then from my collection to watch, of course. It's a great single-sided deck which I also changed the belts in, and it's because I live in a PAL region, it's both a PAL and NTSC model. But myself, I got a pretty good upgrade. I still have my which is a karaoke deck, which is a solid, strong Laserdisc player, which is double-sided, has AC3. But that's become my secondary player because I actually imported from Japan last year the CLD R7G, which is one of the very later release Laserdisc players. I consider it one of the better ones with comb filters and all that good stuff. It's pretty cool. I love it. Goes well together with my AC3 demodulator, which allows me to watch Dolby Digital movies. I obviously don't need it for my DTS movies because DTS is a direct through Toslink. When it comes to my upscaling setup, I'm still using the very trustworthy iScan VP20, and in between there's a comb filter that makes the image even better, and then it outputs in 1080p to my main display, which is this time 32-inch LG monitor, which I recently also bought that upgraded my ultrawide. And then just to show you a couple of titles, I decided to show you what I consider the rarest releases, which is a combination of late release, DTS and Squeeze Laserdisc, which I almost have all of them. Only a couple left, and then I have a full Squeeze set. Wasn't expecting to say that a couple of years ago, but good times. Well, let's start with DTS because it's the first in the stack. One of my favorite movies, Con Air, the Japanese DTS release. This one is actually a theatrical cut, so a DVD release that came out later is very different. A lot of scenes from this release were cut that were in DVD one. But yeah, sound obviously brilliant since it's DTS. Then we have Flubber with Robin Williams. Apollo 13. Also one of my favorites, The Rock. Hercules. Casper. Quite a good video transfer on this one, besides the DTS track. Dante's Peak. Sudden Death. Hard Target. And the only one without an OB, Jurassic Park The Lost World. And And then those were the DTS discs. I think those were 10 titles. I'm still hunting a couple of more, like not The Fugitive, one with Mel Gibson, and I have and Die Hard and Speed. But those, especially the Die Hard ones, I don't think I actually came across them, which makes them quite rare. And then we have the Squeeze titles. This is Tahiti. It's kind of a scenery disc, nothing more. I think it's pretty much to promote tourism for the Japanese. Great transfer. Great to spin a couple of times, and that's about it. Then we have the Stallone one, Cliffhanger. Basic Instinct. I still haven't finished watching this movie for some reason. And then we have Stargate. I also been after this one for quite a while. Brilliant movie. Actually, the first time I watched it was on this disc. So I think it actually opened up a whole new universe for me, because I'm planning to check out the TV series that came afterwards. And the one that is still in the mail, it's the Terminator 2 Squeeze version. The regular one, not the THX, because the THX is many times more expensive. And then come the late release titles. First they're actually sorted by the day that they came out, referring to how they stand on LDDB. And the first small batch are the US late releases, because majority of mine are Japanese, but I have several US ones. And I consider late releases very late 98, 99, 2000, and obviously 2001. This is Dark City. A great movie. Probably one of the inspirations for The Matrix. Practical Magic. The Waterboy with the good old Adam Sandler. One of my favorites, Rushmore with Bill Murray. Brilliant early Wes Anderson movie. Mighty Joe Young. One of my favorite 90s movies, She's All That. Analyze This. The Corruptor. Really like this movie. I watched it a couple of times. Great AC3 track. And one of the most recent ones that I got, Notting Hill. Great transfer. Mikey Blue Eyes. And one of my absolute grail discs that isn't going anywhere, American Pie. I absolutely love the movie. I think I watched it at least close to 100 times already. And yeah, having this disc is brilliant. And big shout out to John Rowland. He's also on LDDB. He's also on Laserdisc Forever Facebook group. He gave me a very good deal on it. Yeah, I'm very choked to have this one in my collection. and I spin it from time to time. I actually captured footage from it using the right way, and turn it on sometimes. It's pretty fun. From the nice, more simpler times. Then come the Japanese late releases, which is pretty much exclusively all from the 99 and 2000 years. Austin Powers, the first one. The US version is of course not considered a late release, but this one does. And this is the only Austin Powers that came out in Japan. The second one didn't, like it came out here. Then we have also a recent arrival, Hard Rain. Actually the very first time I watched it several days ago. Liked the movie a lot. Pretty solid action / disaster movie. Now we have City of Angels. I had this movie in my collection for years, many years. Night Watch with Ewan McGregor. Anastasia. A movie with one of my favorite actors. And that's not sarcasm, by the way. The Patriot with Steven Seagal. And here's Dr. Dolittle. Great transfer. Solid laughs. Nice to turn on from time to time. Also one of my Grail movies. Pokemon, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. Absolutely gorgeous transfer, great sound and all that good stuff. You've Got Mail. Snake Eyes. One of my absolute favorites, Small Soldiers. I love this movie. I actually recently also purchased it on a Blu-ray, but I turn on this one as often as that one because the transfer is that good. Then we have The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Rush Hour, timeless classic, should be already considered that. And recently I also got this one. I replaced my US copy with it. Blade. The reason is, well, of course the packaging of the Japanese discs is better to start with, and it's a single disc. The US version comes on 2, so no flipping. In this case, no changing. Also a great classic, There's Something About Mary. Ants, another Stallone movie, animated, whatever. Very good one, also with Cage, 8mm. Really solid thriller. Loved it. We have Ronin. Love the title. Rounders. Also was hunting this one for a while, got it I think 2 years ago, and stayed in my collection ever since. And also one of my absolute favorites, Hang on guys, or else this will end in tears. Goodie. The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. Love this title. Also a brilliant AC3 track, obviously, as they all have, at least most of them. Enemy of the State. Universal Soldier. Well, technically this one isn't a late release, because I think this one was released in 1998, and this is the very rare AC3 Dolby Digital version. But the reason this one is in the stack with my late releases is because of the next one, which is of course Universal Soldier The Return, which is a late release. But since those are quite two rare titles, I kept them together. Then we have a sci-fi horror movie. I watched it a couple of times. It's interesting but forgettable at the same time. Virus. Prince of Egypt. Let me see, and this one just came in a couple of days ago. This is the second time I'm owning it. The first one I sold years ago. Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels from Guy Ritchie. Brilliant gangster flick. Brilliant humor in it. Actually, the follow-up that came out recently, The Gentleman, is as good as this one, if not better. Then we have Forces of Nature. Funny movie. Also a good one. Entrapment, with the good old God rest his soul, Sean Connery. And one of my all-time favorites, and I know I'm gonna get, well, actually I don't think I'm gonna get hate for that, because Disney screwed it up perfectly, should we say. Star Wars Episode 1. An absolute classic and a great movie, especially compared to the crap we got from The House of Mouse. This one, it's a horror movie, but I consider it a comedy. The Haunting. And we're almost at the end. And this one is this movie I really like. Really, for the only movie that came out recently that's close to this one, civil action, is The Lincoln Lawyer. Those courtroom dramas. This one is brilliant. Lincoln Lawyer also, if you haven't seen it, really advise you to watch it. With Matthew McConaughey. Then we have Anna and the King. And the last one, The Siege. So those are my rarest titles. DTS Squeeze late releases, and many box sets are also considered quite rare. They're just too big to be put with those single discs, so they have their own shelf. Yeah, that's pretty much currently it when it comes to the state of my collection. It's steadily growing. I think probably during this year I will hit 250. without too much of an issue, and that will be a great day. I'm also obviously hunting many late releases, both US and Japanese ones, and I'm also hunting obscure 80s titles that are considered quite good, like mm, small pick that I have is of course the Toxic Avenger. I have the Japanese version, which is well, a bit weird because the very gory scenes in it are made negative. So by negative I mean like the movie film, which is negative before it's developed, and they kind of made the gory scenes look like that, so you don't see most of the gore. It's weird, but yeah, it's Japan. They like to do that stuff, and yeah, that's currently about it. When there's similar changes in the collection, or as already again I will have the time to shoot a couple of individual Laserdisc box sets like I did in the past, I will definitely do that. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.